Welcome back to another episode of the Iron Pulse podcast. Today, Kyle and I are going to be talking about, basically the Denver fashion show. I mean, we did the first leg of the race, which is actually picking models. So that's going to be the majority of what we focus on this episode, and just the experience that we've had with that so far, you know, where we are currently at and where we plan to go. So, Kyle, did you have anything before we get into it?
So I wasn't actually with Cam when he went to go do the model casting, which I wish I was because it seemed like a really cool experience. But I was getting texts from Cam about it, and he was just saying how wild it was to like show up to a place and just like literally you're just like pointing and picking people. So I just had this vision in my mind before Cam told me what it really was, that he was literally like just on a stage with like a ton of people and, you know, this little mosh pit below him, and he's just pointing and picking like certain people that maybe he wants to talk to. And after talking with Cam, it seemed like that's kind of like what it was like. Yeah.
So to run it back, we needed, what did we need, Kyle? We needed 5 guys and 4 girls. So we needed 9 people total. We have 12 outfits that we're showcasing, but we needed 9 because 3 of the girls are already models for Iron Pulse, and they're going to be walking in the show as well. So I walked in there knowing that, okay, we need 4 girls, 5 guys. Let's see what we can do. And I've never had this experience before. You know, Kyle and I have never had this experience of being on any runway.
Was it anything like you thought it was going to be?
I don't know. Like, I had no thought of like what this could possibly be.
So you couldn't even compare it to anything.
My original thought was like, okay, you know, maybe I'll get to look at like some headshots. You know, maybe I'll meet a couple people in the room, and I don't know if they like walk out and, you know, they say their name, like their height, like where they're from. I had no idea. And then that's it. Like, it's 2 seconds. That's it. It's like a judge. I didn't know if I was like judging people or what the case was. So when I walked in there, so first off, like I went to the venue. So like the casting was at the actual venue, and there's different times. So, you know, like 1:30 is a time. I think like 2 is a time. Like I think like every half an hour was a different time that you would showcase. So like, for example, if you're going to be doing athletic wear, if you want to model athletic wear, that's at a certain time. Like streetwear is at a certain time. Anybody that is showing in the fashion week, that was a different time. And the models knew like what they wanted to try to cast for, so they would be there at that specific time. You know, a lot of people actually stayed, I'm sure, from start to finish, just trying to get experience and casted wherever they basically could be. So this is my understanding of what it was like being there. So everybody is dressed like head to toe. Like they got a black shirt on and like black pants. So everybody's wearing the same outfit. I'm assuming this was because, you know, it's just to make sure like everybody had a standard. Like you all had to be on the same level playing field. There was one standard: black shirt, black pants. That's it. So, you know, then there's me walking in with my white Nebulos hat on, my Iron Pulse oversized t-shirt, and my white Panda shorts. So I already looked like completely out of place. I had no idea that there was a dress code, but it wasn't a dress code for like us as a designer. So I stood out like, you know, from the crowd right when I walked in the door, and I had no idea. Like I walked in the door. There's a ton of people, like hundreds of people sitting on the ground. And there's 100 people or so in the back just talking, walking around. I'm assuming they were either there for an earlier casting or they were waiting for the next one. So I actually met the lady that we've been talking to, like back and forth, that actually like organizes the whole thing. So I literally had to ask her. I was like, okay, so like, what do I do? Like, I've never done this before. Like, what's the game plan here? And she said, all right, well, I'll get you a piece of paper. I need your models' names. I need their phone number. I need their email address. So I was like, okay, you know, I didn't even think to have a pen. Like, I didn't have a pen on me, so I had to borrow a pen too. And if I would have known this, like, I would have taken business cards, because like looking back on it, like there's a bunch of people like I would love to work with. More than just 9 people, obviously, but all we needed was 9 to walk. So, if it was up to me, I would have just left some cards laying around, let people, come work with us wherever we could be. Because, like, when you think of the Denver Fashion Week, like, this is the best of the best. Like, this is the people that they've been doing modeling for years. They want to get into it. They know what's going on. So Kyle and I, like, never having been in a fashion show before, this was an experience. This is an experience, like, on its own. But walking in there, and it's just so funny because, like, all I kept thinking, like, time and time again, I'm like, man, you know how many times, like, I would lug this foldable table to gyms or to, like, a different building or, like, somewhere to, like, get noticed. Somewhere to, like, set up the table and just put Iron Pulse gear out there and just get noticed. Like, just shoving the shit in my Honda Civic and going wherever they would take me. And now to, like, seeing hundreds of people in lines, like, hoping that we pick them. Hoping that, like, I walked up to them, would shake their hand, introduce myself, get to know them, and that's it. Like, it's one of those moments where it's like, well, it's surreal. Like, time kind of stops a little bit. At least that's how I would describe it. It's like one of those, like, I kind of made it moments. Like, obviously Kyle and I have not made it, but, like, that aside, like, it's one of those, like, okay, we're making progress moments. So, like, walking around, I got my paper and she said, yeah, just go pick people, like, find people that you think fit your brand, fit your aesthetic, and, introduce yourself, get their name, their phone number, their email. So I was like, okay, so, like, I'm walking up and down these rows. And, like, when I tell you, like, everybody has to, like, one, it's one of those things where it's like they can't talk to you unless spoken to. So, I was like, it was crazy. So just walking up and down these aisles, and I did it a few times. Like, I did each aisle, like, a few other times. Like, so many people, like, making eye contact, like, hoping that you see them. Like, they're trying to read you and, like, get you to read them through their eyes. Okay, this is like, hey, like, look at me type of moment, and then come over here type of moment. So, I'm walking up and down these aisles. I went straight to the guys right away. I mean, there were just less guys to begin with, but I went straight to the guys right away. I got five guys that I, think would, represent the brand really well. Went up, introduced myself, and, I told them what day we were. We're on the 17th. I told them a little bit about the company, but it's not like a formal thing. So, like, I reached out to them afterwards, say, hey, like, let's grab some coffee. I can actually explain to you, like, who I am and more about the brand and get to know you a little bit better. Anyway, but so, like, walking down these aisles, it's just so weird because, I'm talking to, like, the person in front of me, for example. Like, let's say I walk up to one person, shake their hand, get the two people, the person on the left and the right, like, they can't say anything to me. And they might be, like, best friends with the person that I'm talking to right now. So, am I one of those people where it's like, do I talk to the person on the left and to the right, or do I just move on? Like, that's it. But the first three guys I took, like, they were in a row. I took all three of them. I didn't even think about it. Like, I saw them kind of talking to each other beforehand. I was like, you know what? We'll just do 1, 2, 3. Like, that's fine. We'll take it. Knocks off, 3 of the 5 off my list. So that was perfectly fine. Looking for the girls, there's a lot more women there. So it was like, okay, looking for the girls that I thought fit the brand well. I wanted to spread out, like, throughout the lines. Like, I didn't want to just take everybody from one line. There was probably, like, 5 to 7 lines of, I don't know, 50 plus people, like, from left to right. So, I mean, there was definitely a bunch of lines. And just walking back and forth, I was like, okay, now I need, like, this person. And, I want to share the experience with as many people as I can. But obviously, like, we can only do 9, and it's not like our brand is, like, specific to one person. So, I tried to find, like, just different body types, just different people in general, and, we could take it from there because, I mean, our company, it's not specific to one type of person. So anyway, like, having this moment, like, walking up, introducing myself, shaking their hand, asking for their name, whatever the case is, like, I would ask them, like, hey, here's the company, our company's Iron Pulse. Like, we're on the 17th. We're on Thursday the 17th. Would you like to model for us? And it's one of those things like, absolutely. Like, thank you so much. Like, it's nice seeing people grateful to, the fact that like we talked to them, we asked them, and again, like I feel bad that we couldn't take more people with us, but it is a limited capacity, limited time for us. So we'll see what can come of it, this year and then maybe next year. But the whole experience in general, I think the most crazy part was the fact that like just where we started, where we came from, and just trying to put our name out there any way, shape or form, and just having people now literally stare into our soul, like hoping that we would pick them. And that's just what it came down to. It's like the shoe's on the other foot now. And it's crazy to think that it's been a year. It's been a year for this. But yeah, I mean, it's just, that's been a crazy experience because I was like the only one casting at this time. It's like everybody was looking for the guy in the panda shorts because I was the only person that was picking names I think I was at like 12:30. So, after that, everybody had to stay, and like I just handed my list off and I was gone. So like I just walked out of there. But it was kind of funny because like at the end, I'd walked up and down the aisles a few times, like I'd mentioned, and I kept going to like this one corner. And I'm sure placement is key. Like I didn't really make my way to like the front right of the room, just because like it was just surrounded by walls, so like there was really no exit strategy there. So I kind of like stayed, a little bit further back, but I kept making my way to like this one area. And towards the end, I was like, all right, I need 2 more girls. And there were 2, they looked like they were friends in the back. So I was like, I walked to the back because I was like on my way out knowing for sure, like I could probably take these 2. And just started talking to them. I was like, all right, you're the last 2. Like, that's good. We're good to go. List is done. But, while people weren't supposed to, like, talk to you, like, there were obviously, like, people talking to each other in the line. And, like, quite honestly, man, like, those are the people that I didn't want to be like, oh, sorry, let me interrupt your conversation. Like, I didn't even give them the time of day. And that was because, like, if you can't, if you're being told to do something right now, which, like, 90% of you are holding the same the same stature, like you're in the same zone right now. And then there's like maybe, 5 to 10% of people that are kind of doing their own thing, like talking to each other, like carrying on conversation, even though I don't know if they're supposed to be, but I could assume that the 90% is doing it right and the other 10 are not doing it right. But I didn't want to step in and be like, oh yeah, like, hey, I'm going to interrupt your conversation here. Would you like to model? I didn't want to do one of those. So like, I didn't give those people the time of day really.
Yeah. No, that's an interesting perspective for sure. I feel like some people wouldn't think about that.
If they cared, well, that sucks. If they didn't care, then okay, that's fine. Like you didn't get the shot anyway, and it's because there were people that were doing it right, and people that they were doing what they were told to be doing, and they were carrying themselves with class, and they had good posture, and I was like, yep, these are the people that I want representing the brand, especially for a brand for like entrepreneurs, like. Hard workers, people that they can do what they're told, but they have their own perspective and their own style. Like that's what I went for. And I think at the end of the day, I think that we got it done. And I'm looking forward to the next steps, which is actually getting to know these people and introducing them to myself and to the brand and to Kyle once he comes out here, and then going into the fashion week in November. So that's kind of where we left it. But Kyle, did you have any questions?
No. You did a great job explaining all of that. It's kind of funny. I was talking to Cam before this, and he was like, hope you have some questions because I can probably go through this in 2 minutes. And here we are at almost 15.
Well, it's one of those things. It's like, okay, I'm trying to like drag it out as much as possible. But like now, as you start talking about it, all the details start coming back of like, okay, what I was looking for. In particular, because like before I left, dude, I was like, man, it's Steelers week 1, like I want to watch the game. But then it's like at the same time, like, dude, like this is a great experience, like we need to go get it done. And I went and got it done. I didn't even have a clipboard, man. I had a piece of paper that I literally had to use my leg as like the backboard to write with, because I didn't have a clipboard or anything, so that was quite interesting. I'm like asking people for their information while I'm like looking down at my leg trying to write. It was just, it looked like this was my first time, and it was my first time, so I'm excited for the future, though, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but
of course.
But yeah, man, that's step one. Kyle and I, we need to get together our audio tracks, our music for the runway show. We need to get together who's wearing what, hairstyles, makeup, like all of that needs to be done. We get a whole team for that, and I'm sure we'll find a way. I don't know if there's a way or if they do anything once the fashion show's over, but I mean, I'd love to celebrate a little bit in any way, shape, or form that we can. So other than that, we could wrap it up here. Unless, Kyle, you have anything else?
Yeah, no, I'm good to wrap it up.
Sweet. Well, we hope that you liked and found value in the show. As always, thank you for taking the time to listen. This is step one of who even knows 3 or 4 or 5 steps for the fashion show saga series that we're going to be running here. So be sure to follow us on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Pinterest at Official Iron Pulse. But don't worry, if you prefer email, we've got you covered. Subscribe to the Iron Pulse Report by visiting shopironpulse.com. And remember, no matter what you do, be all in.